Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am filming here the second part of my walkthrough of my 2022 Project Life album, and I gave the world's longest intro last time, so this is going to be a bit more brief, except to say that normally I do the layout by... Sorry, what am I saying? Normally I have a double page spread on my layouts, but this time I decided, because I had injured myself at the end of June, so on the 22nd of June I injured myself. This led to me being stuck in bed basically for 2 months almost. So as a result, I didn't have many photos. I didn't do anything except for read and stay in bed and read. So I decided to switch it to be 1 week per side for the time being. So I will tell you when I switch back to normal. Now, generally what I try to do is, a lot of these photos are not mine. A lot of these photos were taken by other people and sent to me because I wasn't really taking photos. So I will tell you what layouts I use. Generally what I try to do is get them to kind of match. Sometimes I even use the same kit. In this particular instance, they were, it was just items from my stash. So I will start with this layout here using the June Stories by the Month kit from 2021. I could use that because I'd use the June Stories by the Month. Like, generally I find that the Stories by the Month kits, they can go, you can stretch them to 2 layouts, 1.5 full layouts, maybe like 2 layouts if you add a few things from your stash. So this was the other half of that kit that I used, and this is on the Monday after I'd injured myself, and I hadn't realised yet what I had done to it, but I couldn't move. I collapsed in the shower, so my mum and my grandma came over and they cleaned my house and took care of Emma while I was just in bed reading. At the same time, poor Alfie had to have surgery. So it was like Alfie was in surgery while I was in hospital, which was on the Tuesday. And so she hurt herself, her leg, and so she had to have surgery on that. And so that she wouldn't jump onto the bed, Justin slept on the floor that week. So it was like the first night and I was in so much pain and Justin wasn't in bed with me, which just kind of probably worked out well. But yeah, it was a lot. So a lot of these photos are taken from my bed. That's Emma sleeping in her second bedroom because my mum cleaned up our spare room, and so Emma decided to sleep there that night. But yeah, that was basically that whole week. There was no other stories to tell other than really sad stories of me writhing in pain in the hospital. So moving on to week 27, this was also a stash week where I used items from the Awesome Story kit because I could use that Awesome Not Awesome card, which was really worked out well. This week was the last week before my parents went away on like a holiday. So they went on to a Europe holiday, which they had organised beforehand. And unfortunately for me, I was still stuck in bed, so they felt really bad. But so they spent as much time as they can with Emma before they went. My dad helped with our garden. There was an ambulance involved. I'm not exactly sure why, but Emma went to go see an ambulance, which I think might have been at some market or whatever. Alfie and her cone. Emma at my mother-in-law's house baking cupcakes for us because she wanted to make me feel better. We had a visit from my close friend Lisa and her daughter, and her and Emma are little best friends, so it's really cute. So that was basically that whole week. Then week 28, I used the Currently Story kit for both of these sides, but on week 28, that was the week that my parents flew to Europe. So a lot of these photos are of them that they sent me from beautiful, I think this might have been Switzerland or Germany. Emma's hair one night that she wanted me to do for her, which was quite funny. On the rare occasion that I was able to get out of bed, I managed to snap this little photo of the two of them in bed, which was quite cute, playing video games, and then my parents enjoying a wine and dinner in Germany. So it was good being able to use the Currently kit for this because I could kind of say what life currently was, what I was loving and what I was loathing at the time. So that was week 28. Moving on to week 29. So week 29, I used this is when I had my surgery, so I used the Currently Loathing card for that. It worked out great. But then I also wanted to say what I was loving about being at home. So My brother came to visit me that week. Emila finished school that week, and Alfie spent a lot of time with me. And then this here is Mousy. So what my parents did, my mum took this little mouse, and throughout their holiday would take photos of little Mousy all around Europe, and they became increasingly harder for Emila to find Mousy. So these photos are where Mousy is obviously very, very visible, because my mum then sent the photos and Emila had to find Mousy. But there was some that was really difficult, and we spent like a little while like zooming in trying to find where Mousy could be in the photos. But that's where I wanted to tell the story, and I just did some stamping there saying, where's Mousy? Moving on to week 30, I used, what was it? I think it was Coco Vanilla Studios here. So I used week 30. Here I was talking about I was currently reading. I wasn't actually reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo at this stage, but I took a photo of it because I was bored and I was filming videos for TikTok, I think, or reels about books. So I used that book to kind of talk about how much I've been reading generally in this during this period of my life. This was the first week that I was able to actually like move out of the house a little bit, like short little trips, because I just had my surgery. But I was so excited to just be able to go get some bubble tea from a place near us, and it was like a short little trip, but it made me so happy. Another photo of Mousy with my dad, and I love this quote next to my, because this is a quote by Leonard Cohen. My dad loves Leonard Cohen, and it was also like a sentiment that rung true. So that was really nice. Moving on to week 31. So this was 2 weeks after my surgery, and I was finally back at the gym, and I was so excited. Now I went on the treadmill and I walked as slow as I possibly could, but still I was back at the gym. I was back at work, albeit I was working from home because I couldn't sit up for long periods of time. And so I treated myself one morning with a coffee and a cinnamon roll, and I went home and I sat and I worked, which was great. My parents were almost coming home at this point, so my dad, this was like a photo of my dad pulling a funny face that I'm sure he will be mortified that I've included that in here, but he is not here, so he can't change that. Yeah, again, a quiet week, but still a good one. After this, I switched back into double page layout. So as you can see here, I've done a double page layout using the Write Story Kit. Was it Write or Whole? It was a Whole Story Kit. I don't know if there was a Write Story Kit. Was there? I don't know. The point is, this was the Whole Story Kit that I used, and again, just trying to really use up my stash. Did a bit of stamping, which made me happy. So I made my own little embellishments here and using the cards. Moving on. Now, what happened this week, we had a pub crawl with friends. I didn't go to all of it. So a lot of these photos, like I took these photos, but a lot of them, they were taken by Justin. Emila, because I was still recovering, learned how to make her own breakfast. So that is her learning how to make her own breakfast. She made herself Weet-Bix and she was so proud of herself. I got really into drinking iced coffees. My parents said goodbye to Europe and they came back. So this is when they actually returned. This is a photo I took of my dad because Emila asked him to pull another funny face because she loved the photo from the previous week. So he pulled another funny face. And again, he'll probably kill me if he knew that was in here. Moving on here. It was nice being able to do a bit more journaling and actually like write more, because like there'd been nothing happening for so many weeks. It was good to just be able to jump into actually doing a bit more. And I remember just really enjoying being able to take lots of photos again, because I think, as I mentioned in my previous video, a lot of this was done, like all of basically from March onwards, I did from October onwards. Like I didn't create much last year, so a lot of this was done in October. So it was nice to be able to look back and actually see me taking photos again. Next layout, this was a design team layout for Kidola Kits, and we used the Pink Fresh, I can't remember what the name is of this particular kit, or of this collection I should say, but I really enjoyed how this layout looks. I think the colours are really fun, and yeah, we had some hail, which was exciting. Emila went to my parents' house. I started in a new role at work, which was a bit crazy and scary, but I moved into a marketing role at work, whereas previously I was doing admin. So that was kind of part of that. I was filming a video and sitting on the couch there, and I was actually properly back at work now, I think, as of this week. Then I was really excited because for the first time in months and months and months, I could actually go out and I could move my body, and it was amazing. And I got COVID the first night that I went out. So we went to like a barnyard dance and we did boot scooting, and I remember my friend Kate, who's there, she kind of joked, because we were all sharing drinks, and she joked that she's like, oh, this is a COVID cesspool, we're all going to get COVID from this. And I was like, ha ha ha, what do you mean we're going to get COVID? COVID doesn't exist in Perth, Australia. And yeah, I got COVID. Ironically, none of them did. Just me. So even though we were sharing drinks, so it's quite funny. I didn't know yet that I got COVID, but because it was the Saturday night and I didn't test positive until the next week. But the point is, I made like a big joke about this here in this journaling because I was like, oh good, this is fun. This is great. This is exactly what I needed. So the universe didn't want me to leave my house just yet after 2 months of waiting. So that is that part of the layout. And then this is all the week that we had COVID. So I had no photos here. Like I took very few photos. And I was diagnosed on the Tuesday. Not diagnosed. I tested positive on the Tuesday. And then the Wednesday, Emma had her book week thing, and we were testing her incessantly. And she was negative, so she could do her book week celebration. Like Justin had to dye her hair pink and I had to stand at a distance and zoom in so I can get a photo. And so she could enjoy her book week. And then on the Thursday, which is the day after this, she tested positive. On the Thursday, so we took her for a test in the morning, and then we didn't get the results of that test until the evening. She was fine in the morning, and within minutes of her testing, of us getting a message saying she was positive, she started looking bad and sickly. She was okay though, she was just really sleepy and said that she got the COVID constantly, but yeah. Well, sorry about that, my lights went off mid-filming and I don't know if I'm going to edit that out, so if I do, you'll never know about this. If I don't, I'm still talking. So yeah, I had a lot of filler cards this week, but unlike last week, like the last time when this happened, when I could double up on my layouts, because this layout would have started on this side, I knew that the week afterwards I had a lot of photos and they couldn't fit in on this one layout, so I just have a lot of journaling cards here, pretty much is how I kind of resolved that issue. Moving on, I don't know if I said, but I used my stash a lot for this layout. Moving on, I really like how this week turned out. This week we were both finally better. Emma was still a little bit sick at the beginning, but finally starting to feel better by the Tuesday. And then on the Thursday, she was able to leave the house because we have a 7-day, we don't have that anymore, but we had a 7-day quarantine or isolation rule. And so we were very happy that on the Thursday she tested negative and she could leave the house because I booked us Frozen tickets. So one thing that happened here, which was quite interesting, was these colours from these photos were so intense and so rich, and I didn't have any cards except for this one that matched those colours. So I had to be a bit creative, and I didn't have any like ink pads that matched that colour either to do stamping. So what I did is I started to mix and match different coloured inks, and I started to play with a bit of stamping and mixed media in the background, and I finally came up with a mixture of two colours, this purpley colour and this dark blue, I don't remember what it's from, to kind of match these colours so I could actually like mix them together, which kind of creates a bit of a distressed look as I'm stamping, because I'm layering two different, not even two different ink brands, but two different types of ink. I'm pretty sure one of them was a, I don't remember the difference, but there's like, you know, the chalky ink, and then there's more like the clear based ink. I was mixing those two together. So one of them I think was Ali Edwards and the other one was Stampin' Up. So I hope that explains what I'm talking about. I don't feel like I'm explaining it very well. But anyway, we went to go see Frozen, and then we had Father's Day, and we're very excited because Caitlin came to visit us and they told us that they were having a baby, and so we were very pumped about that. But yeah, Justin spent his Father's Day, he got breakfast in bed, and then he spent the day playing video games, and then we had dinner at his parents' house that night. And then here, I love how I did there, I put photos of all the Father's Days breakfast here, and that kind of matches this photo up here, which is from 2022. So that was 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So I really like 5 years of Father's Days. Moving on, this was a stash week as well, and all of these photos except for these two are for my mum's birthday day. I just didn't take many photos this week, but I was okay with that because actually I lie, that photo there is from the Tattoo Expo, but everything else was from my mum's birthday. And I just used my stash, lots of pinks in this layout. It's not my favourite, but you know, it's fine. I only did like a little bit of journaling there and here, so that was nice. Moving on, again, this is week 37. I am using items from my stash, but I was better at colour matching and using different colours. I used this as a jumping off point basically, and those colours really match a lot of the colours in my photos. Emily getting a haircut, playing pick-up sticks for the first time, visiting a little chicken. So lots of little stories here that kind of makes up the week. Putting that back in there. And then show you that one there. Emily dancing in the sprinklers. So this was just like a week of like a little hodgepodge of photos all around. And I really like it. I like the subtle, more toned down look because I have some very bright layouts. Case in point, this one where I used cards from the, Storytelling Basics collection. So my main issue, once I got that Basics collection, is that it was very primary coloured, and I didn't love that. I like primary colours, but I don't love them being too saturated, and I really like more pinks and stuff like that. But this particular week is a lot about Emila's school. So she had her school sports carnival here. She dressed up as a pirate here. We went to the Lego store. So it was, I think that my issue with primary colours is that they remind me of being young, and it's not very, like, they're not mature colours. It's like very much like primary school colours. So that's why I felt fine using them here, and I actually really like how I did the colour blocking. Like that's all yellow, and then I've got the bright reds, and I really enjoy how it turned out, and I thought this was a perfect week to kind of use this. I think that's basically all I needed to say about this layout. I did some stamping. This week was Talk Like a Pirate Day. Moving on. Lots of bright colours there. This was another stash week here. This was week 39. I used more the subtle toned down colours, and I like how I did that. This was a photo of Emma when she was a baby, and my mum took this photo and sent it to me when she's such a big grown girl, and I couldn't believe it. Emma took this photo of Alfie because Alfie is her favourite model. She was like laying on Justin's pillow. I took myself out for a food date because I was really craving dumplings, and I'm the only one in our house that really likes dumplings, so I took myself out for a food date. And yeah, moving on. I had a relaxing day where I didn't want to do anything, and I just played. I put on My Little Pony for Emma, and I played a game on my DS. Emma went to my parents' apartment in Mandurah. They've got a house near us, and then they've got an apartment in Mandurah. And so Emma could go there, and she could go for a nice swim, which she really enjoyed. Alfie was really sleeping in the sun, which was nice. So this was just like a nice stash week. Nothing too crazy. Moving on. So this was one where I actually did this layout recently. This is one of my last layouts that I did at the end of December when I wanted to finish off this this month. So I had pre-picked my colour. So I used metallic paints and you can kind of see that they're a bit shimmery, which was quite pretty, to create my own journaling cards, and I created some items for my stash to just use up items from my stash, which was really good. I don't know why I went at like a weird angle there. I might have actually I don't know. But yeah, the point is this was a stash week. this is when I cleaned my craft room. So this is the week that I started to do all of these layouts from March onwards. So that's when I actually did like that big clean out, and it felt so good. My dad went to Indonesia to talk at the it's written here, the 5th Congress of the World Conference of Constitutional Justice, which sounds very interesting, but it's a big deal. So I did want to document it because he talked basically at the UN to give a talk on constitutional justice, because I don't know if I've told you, or I don't think I've mentioned it previously, but my dad is an expert in constitutional law, and so I thought I would document that in here. And then this week I was at work. It was our first swim of the season. We had a market at Hillary, so Justin and Emma came to visit me while I was working, and then Emma and him had a swim, and that was a mistake because it turned out to be kind of a cold day, and then bam, next week she got sick. So this was another stash week, although I used some items from the most recent Studio Calico release, or the January Studio Calico release, but I did some stamping here. This was actually, I think, my final layout that I did, because there's some things I'm doing in here that I picked up in like December, and that's using the punched out stars. But yeah, this like poor girl, I got a call from the teacher. I had to pick her up from school because she was super sick, and then she was like asleep on the floor because it was cold and she had a fever. And then I got her home and she was just fast asleep on the bed, and then that night she slept in our room because we didn't want her to get sick, poor girl. And then the jacaranda started flowering, which made me super happy because I love jacarandas. And my dad, who loves his golf, he got a hole-in-one in golf, so I documented that. My gym gave us snacks, so I documented that. Justin did a paint and sip for his work, which is really cool that he did that, because Justin is very creative but not very artistic, but he draws well, he just doesn't do art. So I was like really happy that he got to actually do that and let his creativity shine. I got my December daily box, which made me super happy, and of course I had to document that. Had a family lunch. A lot actually happened this week, so there's a lot of little stories that I was telling. Poor little Emma was still very sick, and she had, as a result of her fever, she got this terrible heat rash, and then we had to have like an oat bath just so to calm her skin down. It was just awful. So it was just like not a fun time for her, but she was starting to feel better. She also got like some sores on her mouth. It was just not a fun few weeks for her. Another stash week. What did I do here? This was, again, just like a hodgepodge of little stories. Nothing too big happened this week. I got, here. Taylor Swift brought out her Midnights album, and I was really happy about that, but I got tonsillitis this weekend, so I don't have many photos, but yeah, I got really super sick while the day that this came out, which was not fun. My first time ever getting tonsillitis, and I'm not someone that gets sick very often, and so I just had a very rough month in terms of sickness. But whatever, or not month, year I should say. If you watch my previous video and you watch this one, like you'll see how like often I was sick, basically, or injured, or in hospital, or whatever. So yeah, this is just like using my stash. I enjoy. Well, that's all coming out now. Sometimes I enjoy using my stash for layouts, and sometimes I really don't. But in this particular week, I quite like how it all looks. This was Halloween. And so this isn't Halloween yet. This was the week before Halloween, and we had a Halloween market. Now, interesting thing to note is I had all of these photos printed, ready to go, basically as I was going. Like I said, I bulk printed all of these photos, and so these photos were all printed and at a printing service. This was originally a photo of a person who is no longer in my life, and so by the time I actually sat down to do this layout, I didn't want that photo of that person anymore, so I took that photo out and I printed a replacement, and you can just see the difference in the colour, like the vibrancy of me printing it at home versus how dulled down it almost is, because these photos were taken like seconds after each other, and I used the same filters and same editing, whatever. I don't really use filters, I tend to just increase the brightness, but you can see the difference in especially their outfits. But yeah, so I just thought that was quite interesting. So we had a Halloween market. My brother, he's in the Navy, and we could go on the actual ship, which was quite cool. What else happened? I could use some elements of Crystal's Frankie's Halloween kit, but I used that mostly the next week because it was actually Halloween. Emma and I did some art together. Yeah, so nothing really happened. It was nice being able to use Halloween products because I tend to not be able to use those a lot because we don't really do Halloween here in Australia. But we had a Halloween market, and it was the first year that Emma actually dressed up for Halloween, so I could actually use some of those spooky Halloweeny products for the first time literally ever, and it made me like really happy. So there's that one, you can see it properly, and then flipping it over, and this is when I used the Frankie's Halloween kit from Crystal, and I loved it because it was very, very lilac-y and purpley, which matched my hair that I got done that week, which matched our like date night photos. But most importantly, it matched little Emma, who was carrying like the pink little like basket because we went trick-or-treating for the first time, and it was so amazing going trick-or-treating with her for the first time because she'd just not been old enough previously to do it, and so this year we could do it, and she got all dressed up and she was really proud of herself. I went back to my not natural hair color, but natural for me. Like, it's weird for me to have brown hair. I'm not a fan of my brown hair, even though that's my natural hair color. So I went back to my natural hair color. Justin had a school day at Emila's school where he was the parent helper. What else happened? We had a date night where we had got yummy cookies. It was my friend's hen's night. Okay, so I don't know when that cut out because I was just talking away and then I saw that it cut out. So I was saying that I used all Christmas products in this, and I really love being able to do that because I don't get to use Christmas products in my project life because I actually stopped doing project life during December daily just because, as I've said, this is already a very chunky album. I tend to not miss many stories from December Daily in my December Daily albums, so I don't really feel the need to double up on those stories. So the way that I kind of feel like if I ever want to look through the year, I know that I look at this, and then once it comes to December, I can switch into my December Daily to tell the rest of the story. And then so this album usually is December Daily, and then the I don't have the first 3 weeks of December, and then basically from the 26th to the end of the year is when I have my last final layout, which you'll see later. So here you can see that one. Moving on, another week where I used mainly my stash. So the thing is, because I stopped creating a lot in this year, I stopped buying products, and so I didn't have many kits to use. So a lot of these are me just using my stash. And I really like that. We did a quiz night, and we did a really good job at our quiz night. My brother bought a house, which I'm so proud of him for. We had a friend's birthday, and we had another market. So that is that week. I don't have much else to say. So this week is, this was the Kidoli Kits layout. And I used, I think, Paige Evans and Jen Hadfield mainly in this particular layout. So it was our friend's wedding, so that's that, and a few little other stories that I wanted to tell. My dad went away overseas, and my mum came and stayed at us for like a sleepover, which was really nice. Emma was playing. Emma and her little friend had a little sleepover at my mum's house while we were at the wedding. And then I actually have this is starting to bulge out, I might have to just fix that later. I actually have this is actually filmed and on my channel because I started to actually add videos to my channel. So this was the wedding, and then after the wedding, Michael and I, we went to Pride, which was a wild night, and I didn't sleep very much, as you can imagine. But this is pretty much the final layout before December started. And so from here onwards, I didn't take any photos between the 28th and the 1st of December, so I didn't have to worry about where I'm going to put those. But after this, I did December Daily, and so the next layout is the final layout for the year, and this is the final week in the year. I used Studio Calico printables for this particular week, and we spent a lot of time at the beach, a lot of time just hanging with friends because everyone had off work, everyone was happy that the Christmas period was done. And then here is another pub crawl that we did. So we do a fair few pub crawls with our friend. Now, the aim is to do one every year, but this year we just had the January one in December. So this particular album has got 3 pub crawls because we added an extra one in the middle of winter. So we call it Highway to Hell because we went down Canning Highway. And I don't know if you know that, but the song Highway to Hell is actually written about Canning Highway, which is in Perth, and it's just like a very narrow and dangerous highway, which is why it's called that. I think. I'm pretty sure, unless someone lied to me about that particular fact. So we had that, and we're like cuddling her little chickens that she got for Christmas. And then my final layout was like a goodbye to 2022 layout, and it was our New Year's Eve celebration. So we all went to the court and we went dancing, and it was the most amazing evening. And so I wanted to do a bit of journaling here about leaving 2022 behind and what my 2023 hopes were. So here I did my 2022 highlights, and then that matches my 2023 hopes. Anyway, that is it. That is the whole album. Thank you very much for sitting with me through this big 2-part walkthrough, and I will be back at you with another project very soon, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Subscribe if you want to see more. I feel so weird saying that. You don't have to subscribe. It's fine. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I will see you all again soon with another layout. Bye.